Hang on. Remove. Save changes. Bear with me just a minute, man. I had actually already gone back in and scheduled it for the 9th, so let me see if it's going to give me a problem here now.
Either way.
Yeah. So we're good, man. All right. All right. Welcome back to the Agent Revolution podcast presented by Mike Wall Live, the place where we deconstruct the biggest challenges facing today's real estate agents so that they can build a sustainable, profitable, and most of all, fulfilling real estate business. I'm really excited about today's guest. I'm joined by Mega Agent and Cyberbacker CEO Craig Gooliffe, and we're going to show you how to hire a world-class team that can help you sell hundreds of homes annually. Don't forget to visit MikeWallLive.com for 8 hours of free real estate training. Craig, are you ready to rock, man? Impromptu.
I'm excited, Mike. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, stoked, man. I've actually been really looking forward to this one, so much so that I had to get you on a couple weeks early, right, without you knowing.
Yeah, I apologize. I got to tell you, I'll come clean on this. I have a great admin team who manages my Facebook, and they're great about responding to things. They'll take things I say. They update statuses. Wonderful group of people. Sometimes things don't quite make it from Facebook to the calendar, and sometimes they crisscross. And you know what? It worked out. So we're doing good
today, right? You got to be ready to go at a moment's notice, and certainly you and your team were. And you know that actually will segue really well into our discussion today about having a world-class admin team that always has your back, and certainly they did today. So please, on my behalf, say thank you to them. But before we get started, tell us a little bit about yourself, how you got into real estate, how long you've been doing it.
So I've been here for 18 years now. I got in because, I don't know if you remember back in the 90s, they had this really cool late night infomercial that talked about you could buy real estate with no credit, no money down. I was really excited because I had both those things. And I was a punk kid in my early 20s, and I studied this really, really exciting stuff that when I started calling real estate agents and telling them I have no money, I have no credit, and I would love to buy real estate, they kind of thought I was a little crazy. So I thought, well, these bozos haven't learned this late night infomercials material, so I'll go get my real estate license, and started going through it. And I had one of my friends say, so you're getting a real estate license, can you help me buy a home? And I went, I think I can do that. Let me find out. Yeah. Like, I was that naive and a little bit embarrassed. I didn't know, and got in. My first month had a couple sales, and I went, I like this a lot better than working retail. So I did the smart thing and dropped out of college, quit my full-time job to go pursue this, followed by 6 months of making no money.
Yeah. Oh my gosh.
Decision with no savings.
And then scaled a nice business for yourself, right? And we can talk more about that. But then isn't it interesting though? I mean, our friends, they'll always support us, right? At least the good ones, man. And it didn't matter whether you or not you had 10 years of experience or 10 days experience, and he still wanted you to help him find a home, and certainly that's the way it all starts. And so you've been doing it for quite some time now. You've got a lot of experience. You've built out a team. How is your team currently structured?
So we're kind of I'd love to tell you we buy a lot of leads and we do a cajillion deals a year. We're not. For a long time, we were very, very focused on building a really big team and doing a high number of units. Real Trends has us in our area as number 2 in units, actually, which I saw that and I was a little surprised because we came down and we were up at 203 transactions, which is a cool number to be at, and a 1.2 million GCI. We dropped down to 130 transactions a year later because we said, you know what, we like this thing called profit and we like more of it. Yeah. So we actually got out of business with a lot of team members, and going from 1.2 million to 1.1 million, we didn't feel it. But what we did feel is we were working less and it felt like we were making the same money because we'd also cut our expenses.
Yeah.
So from 203 down to 130, having a better quality of life, and we ended up having more take-home pay. So that was it. We just started chasing a different metric. And so the metric we chase right now is profitability. Last year, our big focus was on increasing our own real estate portfolio. That's kind of where our head is right now. We're buying a lot. We are our own best customer, because if you're in real estate and you're not buying your own product, well, you're kind of like a drug dealer. You're not, just good drug dealers, they don't use their own product.
Right.
So we kind of want to be our own best customer. So that's what we're doing right now. So right now, it's got a great listing agent, and he'll beat me on an appraisal any day. So I haven't been on a listing appointment in 4 years. Yeah. We've got a great buyer's agent, wonderful, wonderful guy. He's just got a true servant's heart, excited to help people. We've got a showing assistant who they just kind of go open the doors and unlock the houses. Yeah. And then we've got a 100% virtual admin team. We haven't had an in-office admin for over 8 years now.
Oh, again, I'm excited to talk more about Cyberbacker. I can't wait to hear that. But before we do that, I commend you in your efforts to focus on profit and not units, because it's the conversation we never have, right? At the award banquets, they never talk about profitability. It's always about units, right? It's always about dollar volume. But the profitability discussion really never comes up. But it is the most important discussion to have. And I've often wondered in our industry, and I mean, quite candidly, I've known agents in some of the coaching circles I've been in that do over 1,000 deals a year and aren't profitable. And I just can't imagine putting up with all of the stress and the drama that comes along with that, all the people that are in your circle, and how much life energy that actually, takes away from you. And you've actually scaled to a point in your business where it feels right? You're in alignment with what your true spirit of our industry is expecting. And I think that, there's nothing wrong with that, by the way. I think that you to be able to come out and say that is something special. And I think what you're going to start to hear is more and more people start to do that, because I mean, it is a grind. I mean, to do 1,000 transactions is something special, but to do it profitably is even more special, especially when you're in a marketplace with an average sale price of, $150,000, $200,000, and the amount of people and resources that it takes to do that. So awesome, man. I love that you're ready to tell all, so to speak. So you guys right now, you're on track to do probably 130, maybe 150 transactions this year. It looks like, just based on the numbers you're putting up right now.
Yeah, it's a happy accident. I mean, we went ahead. Well, I'd love to tell you that we went ahead and we did it. We went ahead and started transitioning. I started building Cyberbacker, and that got a lot of my attention.
Yeah.
And that's a whole other thing. We're trending that way right now, which we're very, very excited about it. We're grateful. We've got great past clients, great sphere of influence. We've got people who they know who we are, what we're about, and we've got a lot of support from them, a lot of referrals, and a lot of opportunities. So we're truly grateful. I'd love to tell you what stuff that we're doing right now and that we're doing everything right. We're not, because we're humans and we learn mostly through our own mistakes. Yeah. So we're trending that way. We're grateful. But COVID gave us a gift, and we've had some of our best months since it hit.
Congratulations, man. That's great news. And so, the whole premise of Cyberbacker and having an administrative team, right, is scalability. What happens typically in our industry is you have the solopreneur, right, the rockstar agent who does really well, right? They start listing and selling a lot of property, and as a byproduct of that, they need admin support, right? Because what you want to do, what the goal is to really delegate some of that non-dollar productive work out to an administrative group. And what I've always found, and correct me if I'm wrong, is that typically good admin are not good at sales, and typically good salespeople are not good at admin work.
Right.
Yeah, and neither one of them like doing it either, by the way. But it's so funny in our industry that as a rock star agent, right, you're wearing every hat and you're doing everything. And then, so one of the first things I did was I made a list of everything I hated doing. Right when I got up around that 100 transaction mark, I made a list of everything I hated doing, and then that was my first job description. Right, that was what I hired.
Yeah.
And you get to a point, and you know this, Craig, because you've been in it long enough. You get to a point to where you're really only as strong as the administrative support that you have, because if you've got great admin support, there's no cap to how many transactions or how much volume you can do.
Mm-hmm. I completely agree. And it's not just admin, but you went ahead and you said, I'm going to write, here's the things that for me, here's what I'm not good at that I know has to happen.
Yeah.
Here's my distractions. Here's my hang up. Here's my friction points. And I mean, our whole Cyberbacker originally, we're going to call it virtual babysitters. We didn't even intend to start a company. We fell into it. It's a long story. But for me personally, to be as efficient as I can be, I have to be as hands-off, not touching a computer as I can be.
Yeah.
And we have like my setup right here. This is not a green screen. I mean, this is an actual 125-year-old building I'm standing in, which is gorgeous. I love it here. But I've got another computer screen right there with my assistant, Jen, my Cyberbacker, who's in my office. But unlike regular assistants, I just push a button. I can turn her off. And we're having about one of those days. Click.
Yeah.
She's fantastic. She manages my world. So I'll meet the people here. Her and I are right here. And if I say, I need help with this, I need you to do this. Can you look for this email? Can you anything? She's right there. And combined, we do this. If I tell someone I'm going to do something, it gets done 100%. She's my promise keeper.
I love it, man. So let me ask you this. Were you guys, did you start out this way with virtual support, or did you start off with an actual team that was in your office?
So I started off and I joined someone else's team. I didn't have an assistant. They just kind of gave me leads and I thought that was cool. And then I pursued appraisals and decided I didn't like that. I was an in-office assistant team leader where I was doing my recruiting appointments and stuff like that. Had a lot of admin. That was my first real glimpse of having an assistant when I was doing that. And I went, well, this kind of works. Joined another real estate team, had a great assistant, and it made all the difference. And so when I ventured out onto my own, one of the first things I did was hire a great in-office assistant. Mm-hmm. And she was a mom. She wanted to work a city over. She's like, I want to spend more time with my kids. Can I work from home? Because I don't think I need to come in. And I went, well, yeah, we can see about that. And we kind of figured it out. And I went ahead and even thought about, hiring out of the Philippines. I didn't even know what the Philippines was. Like, yeah. I was great at math. I was horrible at geography. So yeah, started out with, great in-office admin.
Yeah. And so obviously, the sales drove the admin, right? And, you knew you needed at some point to leverage that workout so that you could continue to build and grow. And so let me ask you this, because I know people watching this as they build a team, right? As they get ready to hire, at what point do you know somebody needs to hire somebody, or what could you tell somebody that maybe is considering their first hire, that it's time to do that?
For me, it was the moment that I was doing everything I possibly could and everything wasn't getting done. And when you're doing your best, then it's simply not good enough. You still have more on your to-do list. There's more on your checklist. You're working later, you're working weekends. You got a problem. And leveraging it is the only way. I mean, if you're someone who can work a normal 12-hour day, 5 days a week, only 5 days, only 6 days a week, if you do that, that's great. But we all have different points. First thing is, does your budget support it? Because if you hire wrong and you hire outside of your budget, you can't sustain that loss easily. If you've got pretty good savings and your budget supports it and you're pulling the hours, well, then you're probably going to be okay.
Yeah. Yeah. You know what's interesting, man, is I can remember being terrified with my first hire, right? Yeah. I was like, man, I know I can support myself, but can I actually support another person? And I was just mortified of the idea, right? And then I finally overcame it, or I was, essentially pushed to do it because, like you said, just everything wasn't getting done and my business was suffering. And I just remember bringing her on and just being like, there was just such this air of relief, man. It was like, my gosh, this is fantastic. Why didn't I do this like 6 months ago? You know what I mean? Is that what you find, when you guys, well, I mean, for instance, for you guys in your business, was it kind of the same thing for you?
Yeah. It was with having a regular and office assistant. And then it was the opposite when, and I'm sure we've all done this, you hire the wrong person and they can't come into work. Because I'd love to tell you that every hire we've made is great. We've probably made in the beginning more bad hires than right hires.
Yeah.
And I mean, we got lucky on one of our first hires. I mean, she was great. And then I went ahead and had a string of really bad ones. And I was working more and kids were sick and things I didn't even imagine. And I went, this is more work than it's worth. And you start to, I see people go through this all the time where they're like, well, I've tried that. I've hired someone. That doesn't work. And they don't understand people are different and you probably hired the wrong person.
Yeah. Yeah. And I love it because most conversations I have with agents, it's like, well, and what they don't realize, their train of thought is, well, no one's going to do it as good as I can. And the reality of it is, in some aspects, they're right. In some aspects, they're wrong. Because on the admin side, it's like, if you're a good salesperson, you're probably wrong because if you hire a good admin, they definitely can do it better than you. But your ego sometimes gets in the way in that, I've built up this business where I'm doing 100 transactions, or hopefully not 100 transactions on your own, but, maybe you're doing, 50 or 60 transactions on your own. And, you felt like, well, you did all that yourself. And when it becomes, the rock in your shoe, or your reality is that you can't grow because you've scaled to a point where, at 50 or 60 deals, the time invested doesn't allow you then to work on the business to help it grow. You're just essentially working in the business all the time. And that to me was kind of like the aha when I hired that individual to come into the business and work in the business exclusively in that admin role. And then what it allowed me to do was it gave me more time then to work on the growth of the business. And that's really when I saw the trajectory of my business go through the roof. Like we literally from 1 year, we went to 187 transactions. And the next year we did 309 transactions when we brought on that good administrative support team. And then sprinkled in some buyer specialists and stuff like that. But, I definitely don't want to minimize the fear that, some people would have when they're making a hire. And certainly that is, I think, just part of the evolutionary part of our business. But and I know you'll back me up on this. To me, it is probably the most important thing you'll do is not only your first hire, but your second and your third, or whoever you're having support you. Because that will determine, your trajectory in this business. So talk to me a little bit about talk to me more specifically about Cyberbacker. What it is exactly you guys do.
Lost a bet. Now I got a company. I'm just kidding. So I was talking to someone because we were doing scripts and role plays several years ago, and business coach like me, and she went ahead and she says, I got to ask you something. I said, okay, what's that? She says, what are you doing that I'm not? I said, what do you mean? And she said, here's everything I'm doing. And I know you're doing this too. Plus you're doing this, this, and this. I'm working 7 days a week from when I wake up to when I go to bed. And I went ahead and said, oh, well, I got a great assistant. And she said, what is that? What do you mean you got a great assistant? What does that look like? And I said, let me just hire you someone. Let's just try this. This is a great friend. I mean, she's a great friend. And I hired someone. It worked, and she referred me someone. I'm like, okay, no, I hired you someone virtually. I don't plan on doing this. This is just another friend. Well, nice guy, is very, empathetic to what he needs, and he's just a coach. That's all he's doing. Yeah. And so I said, okay, I'll hire him something. Well, word got out there that I'd done this for a few people, and I got approached saying, would you do this for coaches? And I went ahead and said, you know what, I've had some pretty tough days because in coaching, at one point I had 67 coaching clients. 30-minute calls every week. And I went, okay, the admin side of that alone, when you're doing it at that level, that's one other person's full-time job. When you're collecting profit and losses, everything that you're going to, it's just that right there, tracking numbers, following up on homework, stuff like that, helping 67 people run their business is crazy. Brutal. So I went ahead and said, okay, we'll start this. I'll help out a few people. And next thing I know, we had hired 30 people in about the first 3 months.
Wow.
This is happening a little quicker than I thought it would. And then we started having them just do all sorts of jobs they could dream up. And that was 2018. We ended the year with 92 people signed up for us to help them find a cyberbacker. And I went, well, this kind of looks like a company, so let's push it. So 2019, we went ahead and built out a few incentive programs, stuff like that. And by the time we got to 2020, I'd had a few realizations, because I go to the Philippines most months, just going looking for talent. My best talent I find by standing outside of call centers, talking to people going in, and I'll just say, let me ask you a couple questions. And it's, how long have you worked here? What's call center like? How far away do you live? And I get to know them, because some people, like, they don't know there's anything else. And if you can go actually have a conversation with them there in the Philippines in these call centers, you can find great people. Yeah. And started doing that, and I started paying attention to street children. And what that is that's basically a kid who's homeless and kind of taking care of themselves. And that I've had some bad days. I've never had a bad day like that. Yeah. And I just wanted to do something about it. So we went ahead and came out with a profit share type program for Cyberbacker. And goal is 15,000 Cyberbackers by December 31st, 2025. Just last month, we had 130 sign up. So we just last month crushed our first year. We're well over 1,000 right now. We've got to hire about 7.6 per day. Within that 5 years, our profit share plan will play out about $5 million US, which will be able to provide retirement in the Philippines. Yeah. And I mean, if they have the money, they'll solve the problem with street children. But their retirement plan right now is called Have Kids, and hope your kids get great jobs and take care of you. Yeah. And even though we hire out of Kenya, we hire out of Bangladesh, we hire just out of more than just the Philippines. That's kind of where we went. And yes, we hire out of the Philippines company. We have an entity over there, so we're doing it, legally and safe. But the other part about it is we're a hiring company who just simply has models for finding and identifying talent. Yeah. We just happen to focus on that. But it's still a hiring company. That's it. We've got a great database of people. We grow every day. Yeah. So talk about, there's a lot to unpack there, by the way. And that's an amazing story. I didn't even know at this point you were going over there so much and doing all that. And certainly there's a lot to dig into there. Tell me this, man. Tell me, for how much you've learned, I can imagine is immense, right? Because you've done all this now. You had a company. It was kind of right in front of you there for a little while, and then you were like, I think this makes a lot of sense, and this could potentially, right, take over your real estate business one day, because it could be that huge. Not that you would let your real estate business go, but you've got a hold of something here, because we know how we know the importance of good admin structure, right? So for you right now, you talked about finding talent in the Philippines and being in front of these call centers, but how do you, what are some of the things you look for when you're looking for somebody that's talented, and how do you attract those people into your world? So regardless, there's a few different things that you look at. You've got to look at what truly motivates them. You have some people that if I've got another entrepreneur here upstairs in our building, right over to that door, and he's a wonderful, wonderful guy. And if you tell him, if he knows he hits his goals, he's going to go ahead and get a week off. He is motivated. He's on fire. He is ready to go. If you tell me that I'm going to get a week off, that feels like a punishment. And no one's right or wrong here. Right. But first thing you have to do is know yourself well enough to know what motivates you, so you're hiring the right people. Because if not, and it's different, you're going to talk about, hey, do a great job, you get a week off, and they're going, I don't want a week off. I'm not motivated by that. I'm motivated by structure. I'm motivated by money. I'm motivated by helping others. I'm motivated by learning. And so you start to identify, the first thing you look at is internal, with what motivates you, and does that motivate them? I mean, my wonderful Cyberbacker, my assistant, the person with me day in, day out, Jen, right over here on this computer, she's also not motivated by days off. If I tell her a week off, she's like, what are we going to do then? Yeah. I mean, I tell her I'm going to be away, and she's like, oh, that sucks. But if I say, you know what, we're going to go ahead and build a structure, because we're both motivated by that, building recipes, which are, models and systems. Yeah. She's just as fired up as I am. So we're speaking the same language. And that's what most people miss when they're hiring talent, because someone might be good. I can say, this other entrepreneur over here, he's an amazing man. I got a lot of respect for him. But you put us in the same room, we are not talent together. Right.
Well, that is a great nugget there, because, and some people don't realize this until later on, especially as a business owner. But you often think that people look through the same lens as you, right? Or people should have the same motivations as you. And what you don't realize is everybody's different, right? And so it's interesting that you say, really, if you get to know somebody, understand what motivates them, and then you can provide that for them. Not only are you, especially if you're finding that that's somebody you want in your world, that can help you go to where you want to go. And then by doing that, you can help them go where they want to go. But it's being able to make a repetitive process, a duplicatable process, and doing that over and over and over again. So do you guys, are you vetting talent by yourself, or do you have people that are helping you vet talent? I'm sure at the level you're at now with, there's thousands.
Yeah, there's no possible way I could. We get close to 150 applicants per day.
Right.
We hire less than 1%, and we'll do about 60 interviews a day. Cyberbacker runs 24/7 interviews.
Okay.
So I would love to say that I had the scale for it.
Yeah.
I'm not that good, man. I'm not that good. We do have a few different things that we go for. We had Burke, who they helped us write the Cyberbacker personality assessment. So we kind of know what some of their motivators are. And Burke did a great job helping us with that. And we've got that tool that's been a fantastic tool. We've got a couple others. I know a lot of people use DISC, and where it's great, if you're familiar with what the job is, that's a pretty easy one to swing. So, I'm a high C type. No, you're not. You just know how to take the test. So some of those more in-depth ones are going to be a little bit better. Yeah. And so when we're screening and we're looking for talent, first thing is we're making sure that the assessment lines up. And then the second is we're going ahead and we're just making sure that they can have a conversation like you and I can, because sometimes they can't, or their only piece of tech is a phone, or their internet connection, they have one connection and it's not good.
Right.
And we're looking at the areas where they live. Is there frequently brownouts? Do they lose power a lot? And you're screening all that. And then you're also doing online background checks, because you will find some really scary stuff about people when you Google them in all countries.
Yeah.
And then we have where we go in the Philippines, they have NBI, National Bureau of Investigation, where if you've ever been in trouble, if you have any pending court things going on, which you really got to watch out for that, because you could hire someone that's like a felon and you don't even know.
Yeah.
And I've made that mistake and we learned. Yep. So, but yeah. It's good.
So I love the idea of using the assessment, right? Because again, if you're creating a duplicatable process that you want to, that works again and again, it's best that you have kind of a baseline, right? And is that what you start with? Is that the first thing that everybody does, is the assessment?
More or less. So the first thing is we'll go ahead and just have them go to a website, fill out just some generic information.
Yeah.
Just so we have their data. We're building our database.
Yeah.
And then they go right into a Zoom interview, and we're looking at how prepared are they. Sometimes they show up, they didn't know it was live. They're not quite Donald ducking it. They're just, even less than that. So we have some interesting interviews, to say the least. But we look at, are they ready for the interview? And then we're looking for the language they choose to use. We're looking for, they might have great English, because in the Philippines, they start learning English at kindergarten. Plus, the Philippines was part of the U.S. until 1952.
Yeah.
So English is a common thing, yet the accents there sometimes are so thick. Their English is great, but their accent doesn't work. So we start looking at those different things, and then we determine, did they meet the baseline to take the assessment? After they've done that, then we go validate the assessment.
Got it. And how many candidates would you say you have to go through to get to a good hire?
150 to get to about one.
Interesting. And it's probably that way in the United States as well, somewhere close to that. I shouldn't say that, but I mean, it is definitely hard to find talent. And maybe talent is the wrong word, because there's talented people everywhere. It really is. If they're talented and committed, that's really the difference. Because you can find talented people who just aren't committed or aren't in alignment with your vision, and it's probably not going to work, unfortunately. But it's so cool to hear this, because we've used a company called 1,000 Calls a Day, which is a company you probably heard of. We still use them today in the investment side of our business. And really what we're using them for is they're identifying opportunities, right? It's essentially what they're doing. They're providing a better call list for the people who make the calls here locally for us. And essentially what they're looking for are just hand raisers, right? You give them a script, they call, and they're looking for a yes. Man, are you interested in selling your property potentially if we have a cash offer? And the people that say yes, we know to call those people. So we might give them a list of 10,000 people and they narrow it down to 100, right? And we know each one of those people have raised their hand to say, yes, we're interested in selling our home. And it essentially optimizes our list and makes us a lot more efficient and, productive with our time. But, when you're talking about an administrative staff, it's totally different. What kind of positions are you guys filling at Cyberbacker as it relates specifically to a real estate team?
Well, so the big one that a lot of people have is their first hire, which, in my opinion, just me, it is your Cyberbacker. If it's just you need the person who's going to prepare your call list, probably listen in and dial the number for you, because you're doing lead gen, you're doing lead follow-up. And then if they set an appointment, they're putting it in your calendar, filling out your paperwork.
Yes.
And in some situations, emailing it over. So when you do your Zoom presentation, you go over, paperwork's there and done. And they're just basically running defense in your morning so you can do your lead gen, lead follow-up.
Right.
So you're on offense, they're on defense. The second half of the day, they're taking care of your regular administrative work while you're out there meeting clients. That's typically the first hire. Right. We have a couple other white label brands. Right now we're in the process of franchising. So we're Cyberbacker is the first official franchise will be in international shipping. Which is a fun process if you've ever built a franchise. It's a lot of meeting with franchise attorneys, but anyway, so we have Cyber Recruiter, which is calling and doing recruiting appointments, setting those up. Mm-hmm. We have Virtual Backer, which is for the people like me who said, hey, you know what? That's great. I'm glad you do career visioning, but I want to do my own and I'll determine my pay rate. Thanks. And so we set that up because, the 149 who don't make it, they still want a job and they might be really good still. They're just not a perfect fit. Like we haven't identified we have enough information to bet on them or put them with a client.
Right. So you guys, you're definitely, are you guys doing like transaction management and stuff like that? Are you? Mm-hmm. Okay.
Yeah.
And do you are you specifically, are they trained on like multiple platforms, like for, like Top Producer or whatever, Lion Desk, there's some of the different ones that people are using?
Yeah. So what we've done is we've compiled kind of who's using what CRMs and kind of who's the master of it. We've built out different calibrations for it. So we know here are the core competencies for different CRMs. So if someone comes to us and they're like, do you support Lion Desk or, do you support Top Producer or, you're familiar with Boomtown or Sync, different people who they will go ahead and train on those modules, hold them accountable to those core competencies. Plus we have constant ongoing training in case there's who says that they're going to change out their CRM. I mean, our team went ahead and we changed out our CRM because we had someone else who said, hey, lower cost and it's got some better search functions your clients might like. And we just heard it's half the cost of our existing CRM, but our person who runs our real estate team, she made that call. And I mean, half the price on a CRM, if you're not buying leads, it was a great way to go for us.
Yeah.
So, and then some of the other cool stuff, because when you're hiring globally, there's people who are a lot smarter. We're hiring app developers. We're hiring augmented reality. Like one of the things we're playing with is, I think kind of your home shopping, people are going to take their phone and they're going to scan in like their couch and here's your table. And then they're going to go into their new home and they're going to say, oh, okay, so I'm going to hold my phone up. Let's see what my, table would look like there. And let's see what my, right there. And they'll hit save and they'll hit move. But until you have the augmented reality built out, like apps don't even do that yet. So we're kind of working on creating cool stuff like that because I would want that. Like I would buy more houses more often if I didn't have to move. If I could just say, here's my stuff loaded into my phone, save, move, done, happy. So
that'd be awesome, man. So these people, you're vetting them, you're bringing them in, you're obviously you're getting it down to a science. And I know we're gonna whiff on some people, right? And that's just that is a reality of our business. When you're hiring, it's never 100%. And so you're bringing them in, right? And then what are you doing, Craig, to get them to stay? And I know you said profit share was one of them. And by the way, that is, that again, Keller Williams, EXP, some of the other companies that are doing that, it's extremely smart because it's really it's another wealth channel, right? And these people in the Philippines, they don't have access to anything like that and probably haven't before. So in addition to, the profit share being the obvious one, what are some of the other things you're doing to get them to stay put?
Well, not just stay put. Like, I don't want to say this, but I am gonna. We're stealing from a lot of other companies. That's how we're learning so fast.
Yeah.
Because we'll go over there and meet them.
Yeah.
And so we went ahead and we went to all the different regions around Christmas time. We went ahead and we did a reach out where we went to, an orphanage at one, we went to a home for abandoned babies another time. We go different places and we have different philanthropic arms so they get a chance to give back. Mm-hmm. And then we go ahead and we threw like some really cool Christmas parties. We invited everyone to come and bring their families, and constantly being over there and just being a friend.
Yeah.
Like, that makes a big difference. When I look at why we've managed to get some of the people we got, and I'll ask them, why'd you leave that company? And they said, you know what? The owner's never even been to the Philippines, and I don't even feel like they care about me. And if I left, I don't think they'd miss me.
Right.
So when we heard that, that was a big thing. And then also, we bring a lot of our team members here. Like, you see some cool pictures of, me and a bunch of people from the Philippines hanging out in the snow. A lot of them haven't seen snow
ever,
so,
right?
Yeah, so we'll bring them here. We'll have fun, and for me, it's like I get to view the city I live in, the city I love, with a new set of eyes. Because to me, it's snow. I got to drive in this crap again, really? Versus them, they're like, this is so exciting.
Yeah,
it is. So
here's what I want people to take from what you just said, though, okay? Because this is the underlying message. This is what you said without saying it, is that you're making a connection with people. You're meeting them where they're at, right? And you're not really stealing from other businesses. You're just providing a better opportunity. All these places that you're quote unquote stealing from, those business owners have the same opportunity you do, right? They could go meet them where they're at, and they just choose not to do that. Yep. And so, like, you're just providing a better way. And those of you who are listening and watching, think about it this way, right? So if you're not bringing in talent from the Philippines or Bangladesh or it's just local talent, right? Meet them where they're at, right? Find out what they're motivated by, is what Craig is saying. Meet them where they're at and connect with them. Like, make a true human connection. And then what you're doing essentially is building allies. And that's really what you want, is you want to build partnerships or allies. You don't want to be seen as, some sort of a tyrant or a fearful leader. You're building partnerships and you're truly caring about these people. And that's what I love about what you're doing, man.
Yeah. Well, I'm no better than anyone else because I was born somewhere else. And some people, it's the only difference we've got,
Yeah.
And they'll get up and they'll work just as hard. But it's absolutely right. They all had the same opportunities. And I didn't go after other people's people. They reached out to me and just said, I've never even met my boss, and they have people that they've worked for you for a month and they got to meet you. So
yeah, that's awesome, man. And the reality of it is that holds true for any hire, by the way. It doesn't matter if you're dealing with people in the Philippines or people in the United States. It's truly making a connection with people that counts, because the reality of it is if you're not doing that, then you are as at risk as those companies that Craig is poaching from, right? Yeah. And so and you're finding some real talented people doing that, and I commend you for that. So for you, man, I'm just curious, like, what's the biggest challenge in this whole thing for you? What's the biggest challenge in the whole, building an administrative company?
So the biggest challenge we had was, like, the first one is back in October, we had PayPal send us a message, because that's what was doing all of our billing, saying we're choosing not to do business with you and keeping your money for 180 days. And we'd collected from most of our clients. So we had $136,000 to do payroll, and PayPal decided they wanted to keep that money. So I had to bet everything I had access to be able to do payroll on time, and we did it. And then we went ahead, we found another source, and they got shut down from allegedly being accused of money laundering. And anytime you have scale like that and you're hiring outside of the US, your number one problem is money. If you cannot move your money or you're getting killed on your transfer fees, that's a big one. The second one is, like, originally when I was hiring out of the Philippines, I never set up an entity. In other words, if someone stole or someone went ahead and did something, I had no legal recourse whatsoever.
Yeah.
And so we built Cyberbacker doing it the right way. Like, we went over there and set up an actual entity to where we were an actual company, because if not, you can hire someone, but they can't come after you. You can't come after them. And so those were a couple of the big challenges we've got. We've made it through the pay challenges. We've made it through the legal issues, but those are the first two big ones that if you don't have those nailed down, simple little minuscule problems will take you out.
Oh yeah. Yeah. I'm curious, what are some of the myths? What are some of the things that people believe that's not true about hiring virtual admin support?
Well, one of them that we see a lot is people will say, well, I'm looking for someone who's, a little bit more intelligent. Like, I heard that once and I went, oh, if you met some of my people, like, are you kidding me? Like, just because, they're a little more educated over there. Like, they're putting out more college students. So, but that was one thing, or it can't be done as well by someone in the Philippines. I'm going to tell you what, talent's talent. I don't care where they're from.
Right.
Those are a couple of the myths we had. I'm not even going to say the name because it's one of the higher ups whose name may or may not be on a book. But I told me, yeah, you can't do an entire real estate team virtually. Mm-hmm. And I said, yeah, I've been doing it and I'm going to keep doing it. He says, yeah, you can't do that. And it's kind of funny because after COVID, I got a message that says, I guess everyone's doing it that way now, huh? And I went, there you go. So, but yeah, we just learned how virtual people could be.
Oh yeah. And I think we'll continue to learn that. So what are the, aside from the obvious, what are the advantages to going virtual, man?
I like being able to just click my assistant off with a button. That's one of my biggest favorites. But then the other is I'm not limited by borders to where I find talent.
Yeah.
And I mean, yes, you can hire the Philippines for, about half the cost if you can out of the US.
Yeah.
The average person there, if you look at the gross national income per capita, the average person makes about $3,800 per year. But you got to remember that counts a lot of farmers who are just, they're making about $1 a day doing rice and stuff like that. But talent, they want to be paid at a high level, and you can pay a really high level and you can pay a great wage, which is pretty awesome money over there. And it's a fraction of the cost. So I can hire a better quality person at a lower price overall.
Yep.
So
and so for you, it's more about like for you now, it's just become about like seeking talent, right? It's becoming about you're finding you're not just limited to what we have here available or what you have available there in Utah in your city, right? Or what you have available here to you in the United States. Now it's like, I can pick talent from anywhere. And what's happened is with the internet, it's being able to connect us. It's being able to essentially shrink the world as we know it and bring us all closer together. And now you're finding these people who, they need income, right? And they're willing to work really hard for it. While, I don't want to say some people in the United States have gotten fat and happy, but some people, have gotten fat and happy, right? And it really talented people in the United States can be extremely expensive. And not that they're not worth it by any stretch of the imagination. No. Working with a team, that has a real estate team, a small business, right? That maybe has an average sale price of $174,000. It can be hard to maintain a profit when you're bringing on a really talented admin staff. And so not only are you in doing this, you are able to find talent at a very affordable price, but you're also providing that individual an opportunity that they might not have otherwise had, correct?
That's absolutely right. And plus also, you've got to remember 47% of the global population isn't online yet. And when they do, and they will, the world's going to change a little bit more. Plus, the average person globally makes $12,096 US per year. For us in the US, that's a little scary.
Yeah.
Because what that means is we make more than the average person. And when they come online, plus we've got the whole AI thing, it's going to be a little bit of a even more interesting time ahead.
Oh, yeah.
So yeah, but at the same time, it's kind of anymore. It's fun, and it's like investing because you're investing in people, and like investing in real estate is can you see a property and can you turn it into an opportunity?
Yeah.
And talent's the same way. Can I see a person and turn that into an opportunity that's win-win for me and for them?
Yeah. Love it. Love it. Love it, man. What's your favorite piece of technology right now, Craig?
I got a lot of tech here, and like I really like this is embarrassing. I've got three phones right here, and another one over there, and they all have a different function. Like this week, I'm playing with the Galaxy Fold. Have you seen this? It like, that's folds in half.
Oh, that's cool, man. I've not
And
seen
then
that.
I've got a pair of Vuzix smart glasses over there that I kind of have a dev pair that I'm playing with. But I went ahead and I took my admin team for a ride, and it's got a heads up lens right here, or a screen, so I can see them, and then it's got a camera so they can see, and virtually went for a drive on Zoom.
Very cool, man.
So
Very cool.
That's like some fun tech. And then a smart ring that tracks all your steps and everything your Fitbit does, plus it's a biometric key. So it's what logs me into my computer and all that cool stuff.
Where'd you get that at?
I don't remember the name. I have to find it.
So it's a
Motive, M-O-T-I-V.
M-O-T-I-V. I'm going to check that out, man. It's a wedding ring, or just ring?
Yeah.
That's freaking awesome, man. I'm going to check that out for sure. Let me ask you this. What's your favorite business related book?
I'm usually going to say it's whatever book I'm studying at that moment.
Yeah.
Because I'm just really impressionable. So like right now I'm reading Little Black Stretchy Pants by Chip Wilson.
Okay.
Who created Lululemon.
Yep.
And I think Chip's brilliant. Plus to look at their company and their growth and how you get someone to pay 4 times the price for a pair of workout pants.
Yeah.
Like that blows me away. So that's a favorite business book of all times right there.
Got it.
There's the other good ones that people say and stuff like that. And I'll always go back, oh yeah, I really love that book.
Yeah.
Another one I went back to right now because it's kind of sign of the times, is Atlas Shrugged.
Nice.
So
yeah. Well, we're up against the clock here, and I know you got a busy day, man. Before I let you go, though, what drives you?
Anymore, I'm just having fun. I mean, because if you look at like, what do I need to live? I have next to nothing for living costs. My survival is 60,000, and I don't even spend over 100.
Yeah.
And we'll make more than that consistently every year. And so, like right now, what's waking me up, because I kind of had this place where I've been like, well, we make a lot of money. What do you do with it? My next piece is franchising Cyberbacker and doing mortgages for some of my people in the Philippines. Yeah. Because over there, you work at home. It's a little bit interesting to be able to get a mortgage. And so good financially responsible people, I want to be able to do that. And so that gets me up because that's making a difference. And it's kind of what I want to do here.
That's a great segue into, to the last question. So, you want to take Cyberbacker and start franchising it. The whole, like, obviously you're doing stuff outside of real estate now. What would be the final destination for you, if there is one, for all this?
I don't think for me, I'm having fun. I didn't know anything about franchising here a year ago. And when COVID hit, I was able to call a franchise attorney, great guy, and talk to him for an hour.
Yeah.
And I knew nothing about it, but I'd looked at purchasing franchises way back when, and he kind of walked me through it. And I went, so if I went ahead and turned Cyberbacker into a franchise, I could go into other industries outside of real estate, create great jobs for great people, because why wouldn't I do that? And create great relationships with other entrepreneurs in the process. So that was it. As far as the final destination, create retirement over in the Philippines, because at some point, you're going to be done on this earth. And I think we all just want the same thing. We want to know that our time here mattered.
Yep. What a great interview, man. And I appreciate you coming on impromptu. You definitely delivered some value. You are delivering value on a large scale with what you're doing with Cyberbacker. And what's really cool is that, this is not the reason you got into real estate, but it is the reason now that, you get up and you do what you do every day, and you're having fun doing it. And That's a really neat story, man. So I'm glad you were able to come on and share that. Let me ask you this before I let you go, though. How can people reach out to you, connect with you, maybe to learn more about, you and your real estate career, or learn more about Cyberbacker?
So Facebook, someone will always respond, and a good healthy percentage of the time it is me. But just give me a call. Like seriously, 801-686-8043. Someone will answer 24/7.
Yeah.
Probably won't be me. Like seriously, I tell people call me and I put my phone number out there, and one of the phones is always working. One of them's in dev mode and probably not working, but phone is always working.
Love it, love it, love it, man. As usual, I love sharing these stories week after week because I know this show is literally changing agents' financial lives, my own included. Do me a big favor. If you know someone that might enjoy the podcast, please share it with them. And if you like the podcast, please go to wherever you listen to podcasts and subscribe. If you want to jump on a free 30-minute business strategy session call with me, you can always go over to meetmikewall.com. And last but not least, we've got right now 8 hours of free real estate business training right over at www.mikewalllive.com. Craig, thank you so much, man. I really appreciate it. I do hope that we cross paths again in the future here, and I'm sure that we will. Any parting thoughts?
I appreciate the time. Thanks, Mike. It's been a lot of fun. I'm a big fan.
Thanks so much, man. Thank you.
Thank you. See ya.
Yeah.